What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about an indie 2D RPG that I'm absolutely addicted to at this point, and I feel is a must-buy for RPG fans, and that is Chained Echoes on the Nintendo Switch, but it's also on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. Now, before this game even launched, which was recently, I never heard about it. I never really talked about it. I didn't see too much on it. But I had a number of you guys reach out to me in my live streams and also on Twitter about this game called Chained Echoes and how I might like it because I'm an old school 16-bit RPG fan. So I wanted to check out the game. I recently picked it up, and there are a number of things that make this game better than a lot of the major releases that came out in 2022, and a lot of the old school or indie RPGs. This game does a lot of stuff better than those games, and I think that the developers learned from what those games did and implemented it to be a better game in Chained Echoes. Now, the story in the game is cliched. It's a group of heroes traveling around this huge continent to end a brutal war, but what makes it unique or what makes it good is how they put the story together. Now, any game can have a bunch of story and have a bunch of talking, but it's the writing and it's the pacing of that story that makes it great or makes it mediocre in the eyes of the gamer. And I think that Chained Echoes, whoever the writers are, the guy who did this, there probably wasn't many people that worked on this game. They did a fantastic job with the set pieces of the game. They did a great job with the story and the writing. It feels very visceral, it feels very realistic, and it feels very snappy. Like when you read the writing in the game, you're going to be interested in the characters, you're going to be interested in the story, but they never wait too long. You always go from one scene to another scene, you move quickly, and I think that's what this game does better than a lot of the RPGs that came out where you might be in one place for a long time talking about story. Triangle Strategy, although it has a great story, that's one of those games where you're just kind of talking in one separate area or one area, and it just takes too long in some instances. Now, Chained Echoes is a game that moves smoothly from one point to another point and never leaves you in too many areas without doing something or without having a clear objective of what to do, at least at the beginning of the game. I'm a number of hours in, and I've seen the trailers, I see what other stuff that you get, but I've been playing since then, and man, have I realized a few different things about this game that I absolutely love. So the presentation, before we get into the most important thing, which is the gameplay, the presentation needs to be talked about here, and also some of the other stuff. So the game is not even 1 gigabyte, okay? It's like 717 megabytes or something like that. So it's gonna take up almost nothing on your SD card or your Nintendo Switch memory, or if you're playing it on PlayStation or Xbox PC, it's pretty much nothing. So that's definitely a good thing. Now, the menus, very slick, UI, very good. Music is fantastic. So across the presentation board, Chained Echoes really looks good. It does some awesome things there. I love the slick menus. I like how it's easy to read. Sometimes with some of these old school RPGs, the font might be too small or it just looks kind of weird, but not this one at all. And this is something that I don't say very often because I think that a lot of games have good music. Like, music is obviously, great. People make sure that music is one of the best things about RPGs because you don't want to hear tracks that suck over and over, which is sometimes my issue with the Dragon Quest series, and I'm playing Dragon Quest Treasures right now, and the music's okay, but man, it really leaves a lot to be desired if you're not into that like old school corny type of Dragon Quest music. But you can't say the same here. Chained Echoes, for a little independent game, has some incredible tunes. I love the battle music. I love the boss themes. I like even the little stuff where you're not really going through anything intense, just some of the city music or wherever you're at. So from the presentation front and even from the story and writing front, Chained Echoes is a huge winner. But I think what makes this game really good and a must-buy for me, not only the fact that it's $24.99, so it's way less than some of these other big RPGs that come out, and it's going to get you quite a bit of gameplay. They have stated that it's a 30 to 40 hour game. I'm a number of hours in, but the gameplay in this game is superb. I think that the balancing act of what this game tries to do when it comes to feature set and when it comes to looking at what other RPGs did, mimicking that, but then also saying we can do that a little bit better. So let's talk about this. So it has fast-paced gameplay, fast-paced turn-based battles. The funniest thing is this, and I hate to bring up this game again, but we need to do some comparisons when it comes to like these smaller RPGs that are coming out. Dragon Quest Treasures is an action RPG, but somehow Chained Echoes feels faster combat-wise than Dragon Quest Treasures. Now, I haven't gotten all the upgrades and all the different monsters and stuff like that, but Chained Echoes is so snappy, so quick, so easy to play and get into from the beginning. As soon as you press that button, the action comes out. As soon as you move the character, they move. It is not one of those games where you're going to have a lot of input delay. It is like instant. And playing on Joy-Cons, whether you're playing it portable mode or you're playing it with a Nintendo Switch Pro controller, it is fantastic. It's got some great rumble features in there when you do different attacks and everything. So this gameplay is going to keep you like, okay, let's go, let's play it again. It's one of those games to where you can play during an NFL game, or you can play during if you're watching, you know, the World Cup or something like that. It's really playable. And I know, you want to see games that play really well, right? But there are sometimes when you play certain games and they're not very playable in all circumstances with portable mode and also with docked mode. But Chained Echoes has that flavor to it, to where you really feel that you can pick it up and play it anytime that you want, put it on sleep mode, pick it right back up and have fun and not have to think about, okay, what about this, and this. The gameplay is super fun and quick to respond, and that's what makes Chained Echoes such a gem on the Nintendo Switch. Now, another thing here is that there's no random encounters, and I think that's some of the thing that a lot of these new school JRPGs that are doing, that are trying to emulate the old school, because old school, it was always random encounters for a lot of the turn-based RPGs out there. Not every game was like Chrono Trigger, where you see the enemies and then you walk up to them and then the fight starts. Chained Echoes, you see the enemies, bam, you go right into an encounter. There is no loading screen. There is no boot up where you're taking out your weapons or whatever the case is. It's just right into the encounter, and it's fast. It's fast paced, and that's what I love about this game, the fast-paced battle system and the depth within it. Now, once again, I'm only a number of hours in, but what this game does, even at the beginning with the skills and what they show off, it's basic, where you have 3 separate tiers and you can have stat buffs, new different moves that you learn, and also different passive abilities. And then once you get all of them, or at least a certain number in one, you move down, and as you battle, you get extra points to level up and get different skills and everything. That's awesome. But one of the other cool things is the overdrive meter. And essentially, I call this like, hey, make sure that you're playing right meter, because once you go into overdrive, after you're doing certain attacks and different hits that you take, or if you inflict damage, you have this little meter and you want to get it into the green. Now, once it's into the green, you have powered up abilities, you have better offense. It's just something where you want to stay in there for your benefit. Now, however, certain moves will reduce the overdrive meter or overheat your overdrive meter. So you have to make sure that you take the appropriate actions to make sure that you don't overheat or that you stay in there. And you definitely don't want to overheat, because then you can take more damage and everything. So I love the balancing act of knowing when to defend to lower my overdrive meter, knowing when to use certain special skills like poison in order to increase it a lot or decrease it. And that's the balance that Chained Echoes has. It almost teaches you, hey, you should play or you should do this at one point, because that's going to be a better move for you than doing this. Now, you don't have to follow by that, and if you want to overload yourself and go do that, that's fine, or if you want to get out of it, that's fine too. But Chained Echoes gives you so much maneuverability, so much flexibility to make sure that you play the way that you want to and customize the characters the way that you want to as well. Now, there's tons of items and crafting, which I haven't even really scratched the surface of, but I'm getting all these different items, I'm getting these different things, I'm looting different places, which is awesome. And it looks like this game is going to give you a lot of bang for your buck as well, because it's 30 to 40 hours I'm reading too. So there's going to be plenty of content in there. There's also a customizable airship that they've talked about, haven't really customized too much, and also mech traversal, mech combat. So it really adds in a number of things, like I talked about, from various different old school games back in the day, but also kind of puts its own flair and spin on it. So that's what I really love about Chained Echoes. The gameplay pace, the fast-paced nature of it, the slick menus UI, and the story as well with the characters. The characters are actually really well thought out, and I know I didn't talk about it too much with the story, and I don't want any spoilers. That's the reason why I'm not really talking about it. It's not like if this is a 70-hour or 80-hour RPG where there's a lot more, so I'm not going to discuss what happens story-wise too much or anything. But one of the cool things about this game that I really liked, and this ties into gameplay too, but also how great the writing is and everything, is the fact that there are certain times in the game where somebody will ask you something and you have a decision to make, and you don't think that it's a very big thing. At least right there, it just seems like a very common thing to ask, or just something that you can just tell somebody in RPG, but that actually has an effect in terms of what happens later to that character, or can have an effect. Now, this hasn't happened to me a lot of times, but I'm guessing that there's going to be a number of these. So, for example, there was a guy at the beginning, because you're in a mercenary band and you're going on a raid to destroy this stone. It was basically a big suicide mission, apparently. The guy asked me like, hey, you know, I want to run away, you know, I'm scared, or should I go out there fighting? And I told him, hey man, go there fighting. And once we kind of, you know, got into the battle, I saw that guy again. And he ended up dying, but he said, hey man, I followed your advice, and you know, I fought there and I didn't want to die a coward. And I was like, oh man, like I wonder what would have happened to him if I told him to, hey man, probably run away or whatever. Would he have gotten away, or would he have died just like a coward, you know? So it's stuff like that with the writing and the pacing of the game that makes you really think about it, and the stuff that kind of lingers and lasts with you as you play through this game, like some of the other stuff that's happened as well. Now, when it comes to the gameplay and how they pace everything and put it all together with the story, it seems like you play as different characters at different points. The game kind of has like, you start out first and like a year goes by and then everything's kind of coming together, where there was a long war for a very long time, and then there was peace, but now the war is coming back, and you play as separate characters in different parts, and then they all kind of come together at some point. And I'm loving that. I've gotten past the point where there is a redheaded thief, and then I also just met up with the two main characters from the beginning with the mercenary bands. I think that it's very well done in terms of how they presented this story, how they put all the characters together, and kind of how they did everything with the battle system. So I think that Chained Echoes, honestly, is a best RPG of 2022 type of game. Now, I need to play more. I need to kind of go through and kind of finish the main story and everything, but I think I'm going to be playing this game for quite some time, at least the next month, to kind of finish it out. And it's surprising me more than some of the other RPGs that were more on my radar that I'm playing right now. So if you haven't checked out Chained Echoes on the Nintendo Switch or Xbox, PlayStation, PC, I highly recommend to do so. But once again, with this game, I think that the playability of it, in terms of the fast-paced battles, in terms of the slick menus, the fonts, the UIs, the 60 frames per second on the Nintendo Switch, makes it an excellent game to pick up and play, that you're probably going to want to just get it on the portable screen, because I did play it for about 30 to 40 minutes on the OLED and was easily able to kind of get in and out. This is a perfect Nintendo Switch type of game, a perfect pick up and play, or play for long sessions where you're playing handheld and then you want to lie down on the lazy boy, or you want to go on the couch and you want to play docked. I mean, whatever the case is in terms of how you play, this is a game that I highly recommend to Switch owners to go out there and check out, especially if you're into old school RPGs. It gives me that Secret of Mana vibe, it gives me that Chrono Trigger vibe, that Breath of Fire vibe, but modernized and updated to the point where I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. Almost kind of like the Sea of Stars game that's coming out early in 2023. This new fast-paced style of old school RPGs, 16-bit style, where they kind of buck the trends and do a lot of really cool things in these games. So if there's one lasting message with this video, is go out there and try out Chained Echoes. I know $24.99 for one of the smaller 16-bit RPGs might be a bit much for some people, and I completely get that. But I think that from what I've played so far, and from what this game in terms of value-wise, presentation, music, story, gameplay, everything so far points to this game is worth that and then some. And they did state 30 to 40 hours of gameplay Plus, there's probably going to be a lot of other stuff that you can do as well, secrets and things like that. So for me, Chained Echoes is a game that I'm addicted to at this point, and you guys should go check out. So what do you guys think about Chained Echoes? Are you planning on trying the game out or giving it a shot? You want to see more of the game? Want me to talk about my impressions more, do a full review? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell. We will see you for the next video. Peace.